Nicole and everybody at Uncommon Goods. This is Steve McKinney, solution engineer here at Customer. Just wanted to give you a quick little overview of the guided product tour that we have set up for you. I apologize that I wasn't able to do this in person, so just a quick little recording here. As you see, when I pulled up the customer platform, the customer that I have used as kind of our target is Marsha Bradley. On Marsha's timeline, we have a tracking event. And then, of course, I went out and created a couple of orders just to kind of give you an idea of exactly what it would look like bringing in order information into the customer platform. So I created 2 orders for Marsha, and then, of course, an email that came in for her saying that she needed to, cancel, or she had a problem with her product and she needs to return it. So certainly, email is set up in this system. I believe I've got SMS set up in the system, as well as Amazon Voice. So to log in and take phone calls, you would come into Amazon, to your bottom left-hand corner, to your Teams login, and you can see that I've already selected Amazon Voice. But if I was just going to do chat and email, I would select Uncommon Service and then set myself to an available status. And at that point, it will literally feed me emails or chats to work. And then if I wanted to take phone calls, I would literally just switch my team over to Amazon Voice and log in. So the document that I created for you should have all of the Amazon Connect login information for you and everything else that you would possibly need. So just some quick little overviews here, things to remember. Looking at the timeline here, I think you probably understand for the most part everything that's going on here, but just to kind of cover a few other things that might be helpful for you during your tour. One is to look at the customer record or their profile. You would click on the profile button at the very top, and then it pops up here and shows you everything about Marsha Bradley, as well as any custom fields or attributes. So we have her set up in the system as a VIP segment. So we can route and do things based on those different fields that are in the system as well. And then, of course, things that we don't cover during the demos, but always interesting, the little star next to this means that as an agent, I can click on follow. And every time Marsha reaches out from here on out, I'll get a notification. Doesn't mean I'll always work her conversations, but I'll get a notification that she's reached out for help. And then I can always jump in if I needed to try to help out with her on that as well. And then the 3 little dots under the options here is where we can merge customers, split those customers, view the audit log, and then, of course, the timeline map as well. A lot of people don't realize that we have a timeline map that literally shows you kind of a timeline here, as well as putting in the different objects. Like she purchased the soothing spiral, kinetic sculpture, and she also purchased the etched skyline wine glasses. And then she reached out for help. So all of this is here. In case a timeline ever gets really busy, you can always click on the timeline map and get to where you need to go very quickly on that. Now, on the configuration settings over on the left-hand side, you'll notice that when I did set myself to an available status, that it did feed me conversations to work. So as I do come in and actually solve or mark them as done, it will go out and pull in the next conversation for me to work and so forth. On the administrative side, so again, actually, before I go into admin, just quickly on the searches here, I set up a search for you called new orders, just so you can kind of see this. But to modify a search or even create a search, it's always going to look the same. Here at the very top, you're going to tell the system what it is that you want to pull data from. So in this case, it's conversations, but if I wanted to look at customer data, I could. Or I could even go down and look at order information and so forth. But in this case, I'm telling it, I'm looking at conversation information, and I want you to show me any conversation that has a status of open. And so you could go through and add more criteria to this if you wanted to, and come in and say, if the conversation is open and the customer, if their segment, so if I come down here to segment, is equal to VIP. So let me put in VIP. I can actually override that. There we go. And so now I've added a second criteria to my search, and I just hit save. And Just click the little pencil to make that go away. And now I've only got 20 conversations because these are all VIP customers. So I would recommend just have some fun with this. Go ahead and create some new searches for yourself. It's pretty intuitive, pretty straightforward. I'm going to close that and not create one. Now let's go over to our administrative settings. So the little gear on the left-hand side is where you're going to find things like users. How could I go in and add more people to this particular demo site so that they can log in and help out with the testing? Click on users and just click on add user. All you need is a name and an email address, and then you select what permission set that they have. And then that person will get an email notification saying that they have been invited as a user of this org, and it'll ask them for a login password, and they're off and running. So you can add more users to the system if you need to. After you've added those users, you want to make sure that you go in and assign those users to a team. So when you log in, and I'm going to come in here and make sure that you're part of this team, Nicole. And so now I'm adding you to this team, so it should actually work. And then the routing profile for this one is Amazon Voice. So I'm going to save that. And I'm also going to add you to the uncommon service queue, which pulls from voice, chat, and tier 1. And so again, members of this team, let's add Nicole. There we go. The routing profile, like I showed you before, is going to pull from the chat queue, the tier 1 queue, and then voice. Since we already have Amazon Connect set up, I'm going to just get rid of the voice queue. There we go. And now it's just chat and tier 1. Save those changes. And what that does is gives you the option to come down and actually log into those teams and set yourself to an available status and so forth. So that's really an important one about setting up users and teams. The rest of the system, pretty straightforward from a standpoint of setting up business schedules. If you want to put in a separate, if you had multiple contact centers and a kind of the follow the sun model, you could put in different business schedules for different contact centers so that the system knows who's logged in, working. Email templates is for your email responses, so you can use HTML templates if you need to. Localization is just about the country. So what language is the customer platform being displayed in? Right now it's English, and we support 70 other languages as well. So if you needed to turn on more languages, you can certainly scroll through here and then just toggle the switch to activate a particular language. Customer satisfaction. It looks like they're already set up for you, but I haven't turned them on. So let's go ahead and do that now. So for satisfaction for email, for chat, and for SMS. And then to see what that survey is going to look like, I can come in and actually change the survey style. So I can just go with a happy face or a frown face on this. And then down below here are the questions. And I can say, send them a survey after the conversation is marked as done. And right now it's set up to delay by a day, but you can also come in and just say, make it 1 minute so that it automatically fires it out shortly after the conversation has been marked as done. So we'll save those changes, go back to our survey settings there. So now email is set up to actually send out surveys. And then I won't go into snippets and spam filters, but snippets is just reusable text within the system. So if you need to go in and create a greeting and you want that greeting to have 4 different languages to it, you could create that all within one snippet. The next area here, of course, is workspace. So as you probably realize, you see the conversation status here, and what these really are sub-statuses. So when a conversation comes in, it's always going to be in an open status, or it might be in a done status if the system has auto-closed it or if the agent has marked it as done. But all of these statuses, these will not go anywhere. There's always going to be an open, snooze, and done, but you can also add a substatus of open. So it can be open, and you could say this is pending customer response. So that way you can kind of give more details to the status instead of it just saying open. Now you can select one that says it's open, but I'm waiting on the customer to respond. So very simple, easy to create there as well. The searches, you might say, yep, you just showed me that a few minutes ago, Steve. So what is this? This is just the administrative side of the searches. So it does show you all the searches that have been created. And then of course you can always go in and add a folder and say, these are for management only. And so I can create that folder, and then I can literally, create. So I've got the management only folder here. I could go in and grab a search and actually drag it and pop it into that management only and save those. So when I come in here to happy customers as an example, and I click on the edit, I can say, put this in the management only folder. Let's give it a badge count, make it a color red. And then who can see this? So right here, this is your team visibility overrides. So if I want to, I can come in here and say only certain people can see this particular search. So that's a little bit about the searches for administration. Service level agreements. I haven't set one up for you, but let's do that now just so you can see how we do that. So add a service level agreement. We're going to call this VIP SLA. And now I have to give it a criteria. So I want this service level to match. And I want you to come in and use the customer. And I'm going to use the field called segment right down below here. And I'm going to say if it is equal to VIP. And so now you remember just a few minutes ago, I said Marsha Bradley is a VIP that's in her field that we have there. And so if Marsha were to reach out, and she's a VIP, we can apply the service level agreement. We can also say it only applies if the conversation channel is equal to email. So that way, this only gets applied if it's an email and if the customer is a VIP. And then you would come down here and say, what metrics do I want to track? Well, first response time is a very important one. And if this is a VIP, and let's just say that it's at a priority 3 right here, then I want to make sure that I respond back within 4 hours. And I only want the conversation open time. So the start to finish, open to close. I don't want that to be any more than 8 hours. And so now when I apply this service level agreement and I come up and I hit my save down here and hit create, now I've got my VIP SLA that will fire if an email comes in from a VIP customer, then they've only got 4 hours to respond back to that. And you can go in and create as many service level agreements as you'd like. Shortcuts, it's exactly what you would think. So under shortcuts is where you're going to go in and actually add your predefined text, if you will. I'm not sure why that's a blank screen, so bear with me here just a second. There we go. I just refreshed my browser. For some reason, got a little snagged up there. Oh, now it's really refreshing. Sorry about this, Nicole. I'd love to edit this out, but I'll leave it in. These are predefined text that you can use in your responses back to conversations or put into private notes. To add a shortcut, pretty simple. Give it a shortcut name. This one we'll call a greeting. And it is a public access, so I'll hit create. And now I can come in here to my message. I can actually use a snippet or a dynamic text. So in this case, I'm going to use dynamic text and use the customer's first name. So there's my greeting. It'll say, something like, come in here and I'm going to put my cursor right on the other side of this and just put in hi, comma. So it'll say, hi, Steve, or hi, Marsha, whatever it is. Thanks for reaching out. Comma, how can I help? So that might be like a greeting that you can use. Certainly if a predefined text is used and you want to add a tag to it, you can certainly do so down right here. You can even change the subject of that email by putting the conversation subject here. But for right now, we'll just leave this as a greeting. I'll hit the save changes. Shortcut has been updated. And now when I come back over here and I'm working on Marsha Bradley as an example, and I hit my reply, now that I've got my shortcut built in, you'll see that here's the greeting that I just created. And so it will pop that greeting in, and you'll be able to send that out to Marsha, and it'll say, hi, Marsha, you know, happy to help. And then you're off and running at that point. So that's how you create those shortcuts. So we'll go back over here and we're going to go into under workspace. We did shortcuts, tags. I won't even spend any time on this because it's literally just too simple. You just click on add tag and give it a name and a color, and you're off and running. Setting up channels like chat, email, those are all right here. So if you're curious about the configuration settings for those, you'll see things throughout our platform kind of pop up for you and say, hey, would you like to learn more about chat and so forth? So you'll notice those things popping up there as well. And then the last but not least, the area that you'll probably spend some time in is knowledge base. So setting up and creating your knowledge base. Right now I've got it configured. This is your URL that I've created for you. And then I've also set up some very, actually, no, I didn't set up. So that's a good learning lesson here. Let's go ahead and add ourselves a category. So we got to do that to have articles. So if a category might be general help would be a category. And so I'll go in and create those categories. I'll publish that category. And now that I've published it, now I can go in and actually create articles. So this might be, how do I return an item? Okay, hit create. Then you can come down here to our WYSIWYG editor and type in anything you want. Send it to Nicole. There you go. There's your FAQ. It's set to be public. And then all I need to do is come down and associate it to a category. And I've only created one called General Help. So I'll save that and then publish the article. Once you're done with that, if you want to view it, you can just click on View Article, and it will actually take you out and show you what it's going to look like. So that's as far as I can go today. I hope that this recording was helpful for you, and I certainly look forward to working with you some more. Have a great day.